Look guys, when I was a kid I didn't need enemies because with my own ideas I had more than enough to deal with anything normal. It always ended up being really expensive, humiliating, or downright dangerous for me. Today I'll share the worst ones, though the last was so absurd we shouted for someone to call the police. Once when I was 13 years old I was starving because I hadn't eaten in 3 days. So I went to a buffet without my parents, but I made a huge mistake and I ended up arguing with a Chinese guy, the owner of the restaurant, because at the entrance it said all you can eat, and my thief brain understood it as everything I could take home. So I started emptying trays of fried chicken into my backpack, thinking I was a genius and would be able to eat until the end of the year. So after I had about 3 kilos of chicken, the owner saw me and yelled, "Come here, Aguaso kid, come here," and he made me call my parents so they could pay for my mess. And back at home, my dad came up with a really cocky phrase. He said, "Son, hunger is mental, but debt is real." Once I saw a mean teacher at the supermarket because my mom took me grocery shopping at Chedraui since it's cheaper there. When we arrived, I saw the teacher in the supermarket buying a bread roll. What a cheapskate. My mom said, "Look, there's your teacher, say hi." And I nervously said, "Peanuts?" And I ran away because I really got scared and I didn't want to say hi to him. The good thing is, I never saw him again. One time I had a friend who almost got sent to jail because he had a 14-year-old girlfriend and he was 19. Because one day his girlfriend told him, "Listen, sweetie, come to my house to meet my parents." And he agreed to go. But her parents didn't know that Adolfo was 19 years old. And once they were there and about to eat, the girl's father asked Adolfo, "So, how old are you, son? You already look grown up." And Adolfo says, "19, sir." And the father and mother just stare at him. Then they start saying, "Get out of my house, kid, devil child," because they thought he was 15 or 16, not 19. And then the parents said they were going to hire a lawyer to get him thrown in jail. But Adolfo was saved because luckily they hadn't had sex, because if they had, Adolfo would be serving his sentence right now. Hey, I'm speaking to you from prison. Once my uncle gave me $1,000 for my birthday, so I decided to buy myself an Xbox game, which was Call of Duty Black Ops 2. When I paid, I said, "Hell yeah, I got a new game." But when I tried to play, it wouldn't let me in, which I thought was weird. But then I saw and realized that what I bought wasn't the game, it was the DLC. And to top it off, it was the lamest DLC of all. Man, I was bummed out all night. One time, my mom threw up on my face when we were at the fair. So I go and tell my parents, "Let's see, if you're so brave, get on that ride." And I point to a ride that even turned people upside down and they go and get on it. And then my girlfriend, my brother, and I stayed down below the ride watching what was happening. But then, when they were halfway through the ride, I said, "Wow, that's awesome. You can see they're having fun, just like when they dated." But then, a little drop falls on me from above, and I thought it was water. So I said, "I think it's going to rain." But I looked up, and instead of rain, there was an avalanche of vomit from my mom, and it landed on my girlfriend, my brother, and me, on our faces, heads, and shoulders. Mom, are you still with me? Once in elementary school, a teacher got so angry that she knocked down the classroom door by accident because the doorknob got stuck and we couldn't get out for the field trip. So Miss Cole got desperate because of everyone shouting and started pulling the handle so furiously that, out of nowhere, the rusty screws gave way completely. But the real disaster was that, because of her own strength, the teacher flew backward and knocked over the shelf with the models, which were projects from the whole class, right on top of Panzas. And then, the principal poked his head through the hole and ended up suspending the teacher for being destructive. So Miss ruined everything because she got desperate? That's why, if the door gets stuck, I'd rather wait. Just wait. Once, when I was a kid, I went down a road that was supposed to be the most haunted in all of Nakahuka, because they say there had been a lot of accidents in that place. And sometimes some taxi drivers would go by and there were ghosts that would ask them for a ride. Since they didn't stop, the ghosts climbed into the back of the car further ahead, scaring them into having an accident. But one day, I had to go by there with my parents, and I brought a Bible, a rosary, garlic, and a wooden stake, just in case. And well, it looked like a little shop, but when I passed by there, scared out of my mind, we almost crashed. But it was my dad's fault because he let go of the steering wheel to scare me since I was hiding in the back seats. But in the end, thank God, nothing paranormal happened. I love you, God. I love you, God. I trust in you, Jesus. I trust in you. I love you. I love you. Once, when I went to the movies with my friends, the power went out right at the most intense scene of the movie. Then we all started screaming like a bunch of turkeys. But to top it off, some crazy guy threw nachos from above because he was upset. But that stuff landed right on my head, cheese and all. So I got really pissed, stood up and yelled, "Who was the idiot that threw this crap at me?" And then this bald, jacked guy, like 5 meters tall, stood up and said, "It was me." And I yelled, "Thanks, because I didn't buy the combo." And all freaked out, I sat back down in my chair without saying a word. I feel sorry for the next guy who dares to look at me. How about this guy? One time my mom thought I was hanging out with some hookers because of my friend El Calaca since we were at his house, but then my mom called me, so I answer her. But I tell Calaca, "Don't say anything stupid." But it seems like I told him the opposite because he starts up. And as soon as I say, "Hi mom," that guy starts going, oh, come back to bed baby. And I'm like, shut up. But my mom says, "What's that, Manuelito?" And I tell her, "Nothing, just a crazy friend." And my mom says, "You better not be up to anything, kid." And since she didn't trust me, she called me on video to see what I was doing because she thought I was with a hooker. Once when I was 7 years old, I was a little psycho because I wanted some of my friends to get poisoned as a prank. And I thought the little fruits on the flowers were poisonous. So I gave them to my friends and told them, "Eat this and an Xbox will appear at your house." And they believed me and ate them, but obviously it wasn't real. I just wanted them to get diarrhea as a joke. Honestly, I wasn't right in the head. I'm pushing the toxic lane and beating the sororities and nip. One time, my brother and I were trying to make the Canelitas commercial, but it didn't turn out badly. And I ended up throwing salt and sugar in my brother's eyes because in the commercial they went, I. And they would break the cookie in half with their hand. So one day when we bought some Canelitas, I grabbed one and told my brother, "Let's do the Canelitas commercial." He said yes, so I got ready and did it to his face. I break the cookie in half and all the salt and sugar get into his eyes. And he starts screaming, my eyes, I call the police, they're killing me." One time when I was 15 years old, I used to pull out the hairs from my butt with my hand, and my mom thought I was secretly keeping a cat because I, out of nowhere, would be in the kitchen, really bored, waiting for the microwave to heat up the food, and I would pull out the hairs from my butt with my fingers. And I would do the same thing all over the house until one day my mom started seeing hairs scattered on the floor and all over the house, and they looked really strange. Then my mom says to me, "You have a stray cat hidden somewhere, don't you?" And I say, "No mom, why?" And then she told me that she had found some really ugly hairs on the floor and thought it was a mutant cat with horrible and weird hair. Mom loves your money. Mom loves your money. Mom loves your